Thank you very much, Member Davis. Apologies for absence. Apologies for absence. We have an apology from Mrs. Marsha Henry Martin. She has tendered an apology. We have representing Mrs. Henry Martin, Mr. Calvert Thomas, from the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. Any other apologies? Let me welcome you all to the sitting of this committee. It's very unusual for us to have committee meetings on a Thursday afternoon, seeing the fact that normally most members are in their constituency, connecting or listening to the issues relating to their constituency or the communities within their constituency. Let me make special mention of the team here this afternoon with us. I think we have a full array of support team here with us. We have Simone Barnett, we have Marlene Aldred, Jeffrey Foreman, Conrad Allen, Barnett, Judith Grant. We have our team from the Houses of Parliament, technical team, as well as the Answer team that has been doing a very good job in terms of ensuring that the happenings are accurately recorded. I want to also say welcome to those persons watching us online via PBCJ. And of course, the team at Parliament. This afternoon, we have with us Ms. Chesson Brandon, who is sitting in for our clerk, Mrs. Douglas Beckford, who is off on leave. Members, I do not believe that we will or should have a very long meeting this afternoon, seeing that we have already gone through most, if not everything, as relates to the work of this committee. I think the main matter for us is to accept the report which was circulated earlier for our perusal. So I'll go straight, members, into the minutes. The minutes was also circulated as well. And I'm just gonna ask if there are any corrections to the minutes, amendments or omission, members at this time. Any corrections to the minutes? Any corrections to the minutes? If there are no corrections, can I have a motion for us to accept the minutes?
I so move, Sir Chair.
Moved by Member Miller, seconded by Member Campbell Rodriguez. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those against, the ayes have it. Matters arising from the minutes. Matters arising from the minutes.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Member Davis.
Yeah, I was looking on item 7, where Member Jackson made quite an elaborate contribution to this massive paragraph. And what struck me, Chairman, this is said by Member Jackson. He said they made the decision before examining the facts. They made the decision before examining the facts, after which they arrived at the conclusion and the recommendations. Mr. Chairman, I am not comfortable with that description. I'm not comfortable with that comment from Member Jackson, because it's as if we just, operating from, a preconceived motion, right? That what we are doing or what we are seeking to achieve is as if to say that we have already arrived at our conclusion. because I know that I have gone through the presentations that were made by the various members who were asked to make their contribution to this committee. And, you know, for that comment, Mr. Chairman, he is excluding himself technically from the committee. Because anyone who take this minutes and look at it, the first question they're going to ask, was he a part of the committee? And I think Member Jackson should try and, you know, clear that up, because it is in the minutes and it is there for posterity. So it can be called upon at some point. So you need to clarify that. So I don't know if he's in the meeting, if, you know, if he could clarify that.
Go ahead, Member Jackson.
Thank you, Chairman. I heard the comments of my friend, Minister Omer. But I'll reiterate what I said in the meeting. That a major procedural breach took place. Presentations are made to the committee, not just to each member, but collectively the committee. The committee compiled the report by way of a matrix. Upon examining the matrix, a report is generated from those presentations that the matrix collected. Upon consideration of the report that collect the reports, that collect the presentations, the committee would then posit its position on the subject. On the occasion where the committee move a motion on the subject before, after the matrix was tabled, before the report, which would draw the conclusions out of the matrix and which the committee then decides on. That is the gravamen of my point. A motion was moved before the draft report was tabled. The draft report is a tabulation of the perspectives coming out of the presentations that were in the matrix. And it is against that background I said then, and I repeat now, a decision of the committee before the draft report even reached the table of the committee proceeded to make a decision, pronounce on it before the report. So that's what I said then, and that's what I'm standing behind. That's my input on the matter, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman.
Go ahead, Member Davis.
I heard Member Jackson, but I think that this decision that was taken, it was after all consideration was given as it relates to the presentation that were made by the various members of the public and committee members. And this decision was taken based on the draft report to move the report from a draft stage to the other stage. So if there's something in the matrix that
And a point of order, Chairman. And a point of order.
Go ahead, Member Jackson.
That assertion by Minister Omer is not correct as a matter of record. The day that the motion was taken, the draft report was not before the committee as yet.
Chairman, my understanding was that the draft report was what we were there to discuss and to arrive at our position. I would have to refresh my memory if that wasn't the case. But my understanding was when we came to this conclusion of adopting that report, it was the draft report that we were there adopting. So I stand corrected if that wasn't the case, Mr. Chairman. You can guide me. Thank you.
Members, you will all recall at that meeting when the decision was taken or the motion was moved for us to indicate our support for the proposal to establish Portmore as the 15th parish after having examined the matrix, which is a compilation of all the inputs from the relevant agencies of state as well as the general public. And I believe I said this at the last meeting, and I'm going to reiterate it here, that the motion was put to the floor so that it could be captured in the draft report. I do not know if I stand guided if it is against the standing orders. And I'm going to ask Member Warmington to shed some light on this, seeing that is more afraid than most of us with the standing orders as relates to how we go about coming to a conclusion on a report. I believe that having examined the matrix, that it would be wise for us to indicate as the report is being drafted to give some indication as to the intent or the conclusion of examining the matrix, members.
Thank you, Chairman.
Sorry.
Thank you, Chairman.
Sorry.
Chairman, I personally don't see where any of the rules are breached. The motion was moved. Are you here, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead, Member Woman. We are hearing you.
The motion was moved in a sense so that the draft, as you say, the draft report could be prepared. Whatever is to go to before the House, that is what will be accepted today and approved to go before the House. It's if you look at Standing Order 80, subsection 4, subsection A, subsection A, the chairman of a select committee shall prepare a draft report and submit it for consideration of the committee, which you did last time. But alternative draft may be submitted for consideration by any other member of the committee. You have, you have that committee drafted, and as such, you presented the last time. The members went through, and from that draft report, the final report is before us today. Then, today, we'll move to have this final report laid before Parliament. That's the real important aspect of the entire thing. Whatever is done today.
Thank you very much, Member Warmington. Members, I believe no harm was done, to be quite honest, as it relates to the procedure. Because at the last meeting, it was also clear that the majority of members supported the proposal to establish Portmore as the 15th parish. And I believe that if needs be, we can go over that process again if members are uncomfortable.
We don't need to go over it, Minister.
I too, Chairman, don't believe we need to go over it. I think we're past there now. But now there's just a recording of what took place and the manner in which it was done. I don't think we need to go over it because the final report did come to the committee. The committee deliberated on it, and it is before us now for the committee to formally adopt.
Okay.
Okay, noted members. Matters arising from the minutes. Matters arising from the minutes. There be no other matters arising from the minutes. We move to item 7 on the agenda, which is matter for discussion. we have before us members, the committee. The report was circulated to members after we had our last meeting, and suggestions, corrections were done as indicated by the meeting and was circulated to members for us to ratify the committee's final report. Are there any matters for discussion as relates to this final report that is before us members? Members, it is quite clear that the report before us reflects the true intent of the committee's deliberation. And at this time, I'm going to put it to the committee for us to move a motion to accept this final report that is before us, members.
Mr. Chairman, I beg to move that the report of the Joint Select Committee appointed to consider and report on the motion for consideration of a proposal that the city municipality of Portmore becomes the 15th parish of Jamaica parishes.
I second it, Mr. Chairman, if it needed a second.
Motion moved by Member Warmington, seconded by Member Campbell Rodriguez. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, Mr. Chairman, Warmington here in
So we have Member Warmington in favor, Member
Aye.
Davis in favor,
Member Davis, yes.
Member
Campbell
Golding Campbell,
Rodriguez here.
Rodriguez, Campbell, Member Terry Long,
Aye, member Terry.
Member Miller. I see that you have unmuted your mic.
Yes. Aye.
Member Miller, are you in support of this motion to accept Portmore, the proposal to make Portmore the 15th parish? Not even Member Campbell,
Aye.
Member Leslie Campbell. Member Jackson,
No.
Member Morris. Member Morris? Member Morris, are you hearing us? Member Morris? I'm not
Turn
hearing
on
us.
your mic, Senator Morris. Turn on your mic.
Please unmute Member Morris, please.
You're hearing me now?
Yes, Member Morris. Are you in
Okay.
favor of the?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have two dissenting voices. Member Miller, are you hearing us? Member Miller?
Yes, Chair, I'm in and out. I'm in and out with the internet. What's the motion on the table?
The motion is for the acceptance of the proposal to establish the city municipality of Portmore as Jamaica's 15th parish. It was moved by Member Warmington and seconded by Member Campbell Rodriguez.
Definitely, Sir Chair, definitely. Aye.
So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 for, and 8 and 2 against. Motion carried to accept the report of this committee.
Did you capture Member Golding's vote? I think I heard her
Yes.
saying yes.
Yes, she did. I did. So remember, the
So,
report has been accepted for,
Mr. Chair,
yes, go ahead, member.
just one point of clarification. So the minority report will go along with the substantive report.
Can I deal with that, Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead, member Warmington.
I meant to raise this. In the minutes, it says minority report. It said Member Jackson noted that there were recommendations flowing from the report and advised, mark the word, please take note of the word, advised that the opposition will be tabling a minority report on this subject. The standing order says here, standing order 80, subsection 4, subsection B. No, subsection C. Any member dissenting from the report of a majority of the committee may, by leave of the committee, put in a concise written statement of his reasons for such dissent, and such statement shall be appended to the report. The minutes that I'm seeing here, I was not at the meeting. It says here that Member Jackson advised that the committee will be tabling a minority report. There's nowhere in this minutes, I didn't hear, a matter of fact, I didn't hear any member raise anything of correction to this paragraph. So I take it that this paragraph is correct. If there were corrections, and if it wasn't correct, if it weren't correct, I would have expected opposition members to correct what it says here. It says, he advised, the standing order says they must seek leave of the committee, and the committee must grant that leave or reject the leave. No leave was sought of the committee. No leave was sought of this committee based on the minutes before us. I was not at the meeting, but based on the minutes, and nobody corrected it. So I don't know if a minority report. I don't know if a minority report. Based on the standing order here, there's no minority report, because as far as I'm concerned, no leave was granted as is required by standing order 80, subsection 4, subsection C. That's my position, my input, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Go ahead, member Jackson.
Mr. Member Warmington indicated he was not at the meeting. And we all know the minutes capture things, don't necessarily capture everything. But one thing I do know, which the answer will collect, is that I gave notice. The committee acknowledged the notice. In fact, I recall you, Mr. Chairman, asking the question if you all could vote on the minority report, which I responded that that privilege was not available. So for the records, the committee was notified. The committee offered no objection, and the committee sought to determine from me, who made the intimation to the committee, when it would be ready. I said next Tuesday, from the last meeting, which was yesterday. It was duly submitted to the secretary to the committee and circulated to members accordingly. So as far as I'm concerned, the committee was duly notified. The committee offered no objection.
Not hearing Member Jackson.
Sorry, maybe the quality of my internet. Any better?
Yes, Member Jackson. Yes, Member Jackson.
Okay. So tacit or explicitly, the committee was notified and accepted the notice. And we have done what we have done. But suffice it to say, and in conclusion, having done what we have done, well, I can't think I speak for the other opposition members. make an issue about whether or not at this point. We have before the committee the minority report. If the majority wants to, if the other members wants to use this majority to reject the minority report, it's your call.
Mr. Jackson, Member Jackson.
Mr. Chairman.
Hold on, Member Jackson.
Go ahead, Member Warmington.
Member Jackson, I have no problem with the minority report. I've been in the house 20 odd years. You have been here long. And we have always had minority report. But it must conform with the standing order. You are telling me that there was no objection. They didn't object because there was no leave was asked. Just, Member Jackson, just look at the standing order for me, man. Tell me if you sought leave to lay something. You didn't. You advised them. I assume that the committee was waiting for you to seek leave. I assume that was it. But you,
if I may, Mr. Chairman, sorry,
yes.
not to interrupt. Legislative
Just a minute. No. Allow me to complete.
Allow me, Member Warmington,
Please allow me to complete.
Apologies.
Please allow me to complete. So I'm saying here, it did not conform with standing order 80, subsection 4, subsection C. And the problem on the manual report. As I'm saying, the minute as it appears here, didn't say anything about seeking leave. And that leave was granted. So I'm saying if this paragraph is incorrect, then the members who intend to lay a minority report would have brought it to the meeting. I don't know if I'm wrong, I wasn't there, but certainly that was not done. So Member Jackson, you know the rules.
Mr.
Okay?
Chair, with your permission, Chair. With your permission, Chair.
But I had my hand up first.
So go ahead, let me yield.
Go ahead, Member Cameron.
Thank you. I just want to ask, I'm a new person to the parliament. I just want to ask, and I'm in the Senate, so we don't have the same stand. We're governed by what Member Warmington is saying. Member Warmington, do you mind just reading a little bit of that for us? Because I don't have a copy of that standing orders, just so we have it. Because if we go back to the minutes of the last meeting, Member Jackson, on the second page of the first paragraph of the second page, spoke about the fact that we need to follow the procedures in the parliament. So if the procedure is that leave should have been requested and granted, we have to do that because we're trying to ensure that the rules and procedures of the parliament, they are followed. So I don't have a copy of that.
Standing order 77 of the Senate orders. Senate
77?
Yeah. Repeats the same provision from the House standing orders.
77 what? 77.
77-4.
Yes. Right, because it reads, any member descending from the report of a majority of the committee may by leave of the committee. I did not know that this was something that was necessary. So really we have to follow the procedures, and it is not about blocking a minority report. Is that just as Member Jackson said last week, we have to ensure that we follow the proper procedures. So I'm in support of what Member Warmington is saying.
Point of order, Chair, if you will permit.
Yeah, go ahead, Member Jackson.
To avoid undue controversy, right? As to whether or not the leave was formally put and voted on. We who were there, we know all that transpired. So for completeness, in respect of the comment made by Member Warmington, could I just place a motion, notwithstanding provisions of the standing order section 80, that the minority report tabled by the opposition be duly accepted. And I now place that motion before the committee.
Let me ask Ms. Cunningham, you wanted to make a point earlier. Are you still with us, Ms. Cunningham?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
We're hearing you. Go ahead.
Sure. On our review of the standing orders, as were pointed out by both member Warmington and member Golding, showing the identical or standing orders in both houses, it is not my view that it is. Let me start at the beginning. Sorry. On the last occasion, when the member raised his wish to file a minority report, that action and that consent, and there was mutual consent by the members that were present. There was no dissent at that time. So it is my view that it would not be necessary to, that would have been sufficient to give rise to a minority report. However, on this occasion, if it is that we want to formally move a motion, I don't think that there's a difficulty, but I do not believe that they ran afoul of the rules as to at the last meeting to allow for a minority report. The member indicated the wish to file a minority report, having indicated that he was not in agreement. There was commiserations around that point, and you as the chairman indicated, yes, there would be no difficulty with filing a minority report. None of the members at the meeting, at the last meeting, said that they had a difficulty with a minority report. And with all of that in mind, there should be no difficulty for a minority report to be appended. However, if you want to formally put it as a motion, again, there's also no difficulty, but it is not my view that something was done incorrectly at the last meeting.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman,
Member Warmington.
Look now, you don't trample the standing order. I'm not about is my view. My view. Anybody can explain the view. I resent that. I read from the minutes. At no time, leave us short. That's what I'm talking about. We're talking about procedure, not views.
So
and I read the standing order.
Right.
I am speaking.
Sorry,
I am speaking, madam. I am speaking, madam. Please, please. I never interrupt you or disrespected you. I'm saying that views are of little importance here. We're talking about the law. The law, not views. And it's not what a member, whether a lawyer or layman believe can be accepted. It is what the law says, the standing order. I have no problem with the minority report being appended, but just follow the rules. And the member has moved a resolution to have it appended. So all it needs, Mr. Chairman, before anybody's view, is a seconder. I'm not interested in anybody's views.
Thank you, Member Warmington. Thank you very much, Member Warmington. It is quite clear, based on the discussion and, having looked back at what occurred at the last meeting, that indeed there was a procedural error in that it was not put. Member Jackson indicated that the minority or the opposition would table a minority report. However, Member Jackson at that time, and procedural error, did not ask for it to be put to the table. He advised us, and from a procedural perspective, he should have put it to the committee for us to vote on accepting the minority report. But I'm sure that members are not averse or against the opposition tabling a minority report. And so, notwithstanding section 80, subsection 4, subsection C of the standing orders, I believe we can put it to the committee. We need a seconder. Member Jackson moved the motion for the tabling of a minority report. We need a seconder before we can put it to the House.
Turn on your mic to speak.
I second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion moved by Member Warmington, seconded by Member Morris.
Not by Warmington, not by Warmington, by Jackson.
Sorry, Member Jackson, apologies. Member Jackson.
Chairman, I was hoping that Member Warmington would second my motion, but I'm a bit.
We have Member Morris already seconded the motion.
I can't second a minority report.
Hold on, Army.
Those in favor? Those in favor?
Aye.
Those
Aye.
against? Those against? Those against?
Against.
Those- We have two for and one against. Any other dissenting voice? Motion carried. So we will append the minority report to the report of the committee. AOB, any other business?
Chairman, Senator Crawford has his hand up.
Oh, Member Crawford. Welcome, Member Crawford. It is not often we get the opportunity to make reference to you or acknowledge you in this committee deliberation. Welcome, Member Crawford. Member Crawford? Okay. I think Member Crawford may be experiencing some difficulties.
He said he just wants his vote to be recorded. That was in the chat.
Noted, Member Crawford, but you should have been present when we were taking the vote. If Ansad can determine that at the time when we were taking the vote that you were actually in the meeting and you actually raised your hand, then we will count it as a vote on the matter. The members, we at AOB.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair.
Sorry.
Mr. Chair, he's indicating that he's not able to be to unmute, but he I know that when we were taking the vote, he was present, but I don't know.
Well,
I'm not
Member
able
Morris,
to
Member
say.
Morris, I think I was very clear.
Mr. Chair.
I was very clear, Member Morris, that if Ansad can determine that at the time when the vote was being taken, that if Member Crawford was in attendance, then we would take it that he voted.
No, Mr. Chairman, I would object to that. We have passed that item already. We are now on AOB. He didn't vote.
Mr. Chairman, we don't know how he would vote.
Well, so we cannot put it there and vote. He did not vote. That's the end of the argument.
He probably would have voted with the majority side, Mr. Chairman.
Knowing Member Crawford, it's quite possible, Member Cameron Enriquez. So we are AOB members.
Now, before you go, Chairman, there's two quick things. One, I know that Senator Crawford put his vote, indicated his vote in the chat, which is part of the mechanism that we use in this virtual platform. So I just want to be mindful of that. If you can't get on one way and you can use another way to register your comment, the chat is one means.
Where is it in the chat? He just said he wanted his vote recorded, but he didn't say what his vote was.
Okay, I will make a okay.
Members.
I don't want to belabor it, Chairman. I don't want to belabor it.
Okay, thank you very much, Member Jackson.
I'll leave it there.
Members.
No, I have a second point. The comments that my colleague, Member Warmington, made in respect to Ms. Cunningham, who I gather is the legal officer, Legislative Council to the Parliament. And if I recall the terms of reference of the Legislative Council, it is to provide legal advice to members of the House in the conduct and matters relating to the conduct of the House. And so when we want, not an opinion, not what people, a legal officer, we get legal opinion from. Not what they feel, but their own legal interpretation based on, of the procedures that we operate from on any piece of legislation before. So I just want the committee to be mindful that my understanding, if that from where I am, it was quite in our prerogative to proffer a legal opinion on a matter that appeared contentious before the committee proceedings.
She did, Mr. Chairman, she did not express a legal opinion. She said, my view. View is not a legal opinion. You couldn't tell the judge in the court, it's my view, my view, my view. You have to draw the law book and tell the judge where that's from. She didn't express her opinion, said my view. But in any case,
interpretation.
In any case, she was misleading the House. She can't advise the House to trample the standing order. Okay? The standing order were followed. And I quoted from the standing orders. So she cannot tell members of the standing order, a committee, to ignore the standing order because of her view. So, right, sir?
With all due respect, the officer did not say that. The officer preferred an interpretation of the provision of the standing order.
Member Jackson, Member Warmington.
She said, in my view.
She said,
yes,
a legal view was I.
Yes.
I think, you know.
Mr. Chairman, I will leave it there because I think we are making.
I think that's the best thing for Member Jackson. I believe the Ms. Cunningham wanted to give an interpretation of the standing orders, a legal interpretation. But the mere fact, the fact that she said it would appear as if it is more from a personal perspective rather than what is written in law. And I think just to be on the safe side, when legal persons are giving advice, they should look at it more from, let it come across as being from a legal perspective and not just their own interpretation. Members, we're closing on that matter. I think the next matter now, members, is for us to indicate when we wish to table this report to Parliament. So we can give some instruction to the clerk and others, members of the team here at the Houses of Parliament, as to when we want to see this report tabled.
Chairman, it could be tabled next week, but you need to give members adequate time to sign. So instead of it next sitting in the House, we say 2 weeks down, not the next week, the other week, so that all members can get a chance to sign.
Because we have 2 sittings next week, Member Warmington, so we'd have given members ample time to sign.
Not next
Tuesday
week.
And when, so we can do the
first Tuesday, the second Tuesday in the month. Then
okay.
Put that way.
Member.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, member.
Please remember that you have 4 members of the Senate on the committee, so we'll have to get the document to sign probably tomorrow or next. You're not hearing me?
No, what, Member Morris, what I said is to give members adequate time. So it can be signed anytime between now and the 11th and the 12th.
Members, I don't really need to believe at this point.
Thank you.
2 Tuesdays from 2 Tuesdays.
That will be the 12th.
Let me just set it.
It will be the 12th.
The 12th. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to table the report. We want to table the report on the 12 members. So kindly make yourselves available to sign this report. The members in the law also have 2 opportunities on Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. And members of the upper house will have the opportunity to do so next Friday.
Mr. Chairman, why don't give justice to members of both houses?
The other thing,
Member Jackson, this will not be a contentious issue, and we have already put it to the House, and I'm sure that the majority supports same member.
Mr. Chairman, Chairman,
Go ahead, member
the
one.
other thing could add, if a member is not available any day of the sitting of the House or the Senate, they can always go to the committee section and sign it between now and the 12th. They can always do that if they're not in the House at those times. They don't have to be signed in the House.
This is almost 10 days, members, so I'm sure that we can find some time in our busy schedule to sign the report in the next 10 or so days. I do not see that we will have the need for another meeting of this house, of this committee. And so let me just use the opportunity, members, to thank you all for actively participating in this committee's deliberations over the last couple of months. I want to thank the team, the support team, members, staff members at the House of Parliament, Ansar team, the Legislative Council, the other support team, members from the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development, all the agencies that need submission, written and oral submissions, the public in general for participating, and of course, PBC Jamaica and JIS for providing streaming services and ensuring that, you know, despite the challenges we face in dealing with this pandemic, that we were able to reach persons, not only those living within Jamaica, but in the diaspora as well, because we are using the technology available to us and of course the support by those two entities to ensure that we get the message out to the general public. I want to thank everyone, those persons who have not mentioned, but are critical to this committee's work. And I want to use the opportunity to just list some of the persons who I am seeing, who have always been with us throughout this meeting or these meetings. We have, of course, Ms. Cunningham. Ms. Brandon, this is your first meeting, but I want to make special mention of our committee clerk, Mrs. Douglas Beckford. She did yeoman work in ensuring that the committee work went through and on time. I want to thank Ms. Sewell as well. Tashana Sewell, she was very active and supportive in getting the community consultations up and running. Jeffrey Foreman, Conrad Allen Brown, Judith Grant, again, the PBCJ team, the Answer team, technical team, and generally all the members who participated. Thank you all, and I look forward to us tabling this report, which speaks to the proposal to make the Portmore City Municipality the 15th parish of Jamaica. Can I have a motion for us to adjourn, members?
So moved.
Moved by member Campbell Rodriguez.
Seconded.
Seconded by member Warmington. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against?
Aye.
Those against? The ayes have it. Thank you, everyone. Meeting stand adjourned.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you.
Recording stopped.